Pittsburgh Steelers fans can finally rest easy when it comes to the status of one of the team's best players. After months of back-and-forth contract negotiations, the Steelers and Cameron Heyward have reached an agreement on a revised contract for the 2025 season that added over $3 million in potential incentives. Heyward was phenomenal in 2024, earning his fourth All-Pro honor. He understandably wanted a raise to reflect that after taking a modest $14.5 million salary on his two-year extension signed right before last season. While this new contract allows him to earn over $18 million this season, the nature of the incentives could leave him coming up empty at season's end. The extra money added to his contract will only be paid out based on his and the Steelers' performance in the playoffs, according to reports. It's unclear as of writing how the incentives work exactly, but the fact that it isn't an outright raise feels like a clear loss for Heyward's camp. Pittsburgh Steelers may not end up giving Cam Heyward a raise after all. If the new incentives were enough to get the Steelers' captain back on the field, then it's a huge win for both sides, regardless of how likely they are to be hit. Still, it's hard to think that Heyward's threats to sit out were ever serious if that is all it took to get him back in the fold. Even a true raise to $18 million would have been underwhelming given his impact last season, let alone incentives that seem far from a guarantee. The Steelers have playoff aspirations the same way they do every year, but the AFC is full of teams just as likely to make it. If Pittsburgh does earn a playoff berth again this season, it's nothing new for a team that has made it there 4 out of the last 5 seasons. Winning a playoff game has been the issue, and doing so would be required for Heyward to earn the full amount of his new deal. Perhaps tying his increased pay to playoff success will be the right motivation for both himself and his teammates, who no doubt want to see their veteran leader earn the money he deserves. Either way, the important thing is that any doubt about his status for Week 1 against the New York Jets has been put to rest. Now, it's time for Heyward and the rest of his teammates to hopefully put all of their focus into beating the Jets on Sunday. Maybe things would have been different if he had won the game, but New York Jets quarterback Justin Fields didn't really have trash talk for his former team after performing well against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 1. But he also didn't really mince words. "I don't think a lot of people expected us to come out like that," said Fields after his Jets debut on Sunday. When a reporter asked the quarterback to expand on that answer, Fields addressed how well he and his offense played against what's supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league. "I'm just calling it what it is," Fields added, via Steelers Depot's Alex Kozora. "They acquired all these guys in the offseason. Future Hall of Famers on that side of the ball, and we put up 32. The Steelers added cornerback Jalen Ramsey through a blockbuster trade with the Miami Dolphins on June 30th. Pittsburgh's other notable free agent defensive additions this offseason were cornerback Darius Slay and safety Deshaun Elliott. Slay and Elliott probably aren't Hall of Famers, but edge rusher TJ Watt and defensive lineman Cameron Heyward should one day be enshrined at Canton. That gives the Steelers one of the best players of the modern era at all 3 levels of their defense. Yet, Fields and the Jets scored 32 points in Week 1. Justin Fields impresses in Jets debut. Fields showed improvement in a small sample of games with the Steelers last season. If Week 1 is an indication of how the 26-year-old will play in 2025, he is still getting better. As he has often done in his career, Fields had a great day on the ground while the Steelers' run defense severely struggled. Fields rushed for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the quarterback also had, arguably, one of his best days as a passer. He completed 16 of 22 passes for 218 yards with another score. According to the 33rd team, the Steelers led the NFL with pressure rate during Week 1. But Fields used his athleticism to escape and avoid negative plays. The Steelers recorded just 1 sack, and the Jets' offense didn't have a turnover. The lone Pittsburgh sack came from edge rusher Alex Highsmith. Although he's not one of the future Hall of Famers or big offseason acquisitions Fields referenced to the media, Highsmith was arguably the top-performing Steelers defender in Week 1. Steelers' Jalen Ramsey gets last laugh in Week 1. It's hard to imagine the Jets' offense having a better performance in Fields' team debut than it did. And, in a way, the quarterback actually complemented to the Steelers' defense. Fields propped himself and his teammates up for the great day. He didn't diss the Steelers' defense as overrated or not a worthy opponent. But in the final 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, the Steelers made more big plays than Fields and the Jets. New York didn't go back-to-back drives without points the entire afternoon until the team's last 2 possessions. The first drive ended in a punt, which gave the Steelers another opportunity to regain the lead. The Jets could have responded with a game-winning field goal on their last drive. Instead, Ramsey forced a turnover on downs with a big hit on receiver Garrett Wilson to record an incompletion on 4th down. Fields' yardage output and the Jets' 32 points was impressive, but the Steelers' defensive stars made just enough plays to win. It was only one game, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have to be happy with what they saw from Aaron Rodgers and company. Scoring 34 points doesn't happen easily, especially in the season opener. It would have ranked 3rd among last season's Steelers' point totals. But this is a new season, and according to Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio, some NFL insiders believe the Steelers could be plotting an all-in move if their momentum continues. If so, Florio believes that blockbuster Steelers trade could lead to acquiring Tyreek Hill from the Miami Dolphins, who struggled greatly in Week 1. There's already chatter, in the aftermath of Sunday's win over the Jets, that the all-in Steelers could go even more all-in by making a move for Hill. Yes, Pittsburgh already has receiver DK Metcalf, who's making $30 million per year on a 5-year deal. But the Steelers don't have a clear-cut number 2. Hill would be 1B, if not, at times 1A, to Metcalf. Why wouldn't quarterback Aaron Rodgers want Hill? The more potent weapons that Rodgers has at his disposal, the better his first year in Pittsburgh will go. PFT's Mike Florio on Tyreek Hill/Steelers trade. There's no doubt that Hill, one of the NFL's fastest receivers and best deep threats, would make the Steelers a much more potent offense. We already saw how much of an instant impact DK Metcalf made in his Steelers debut. What happens when teams figure out how to shut him down, then what? That's where Hill can ensure Metcalf avoids frequent double-team coverages, thanks to being someone defenses have no choice but to account for on each and every snap. Plus, it doesn't look like the 5-time All-Pro and former Super Bowl champion is having much fun in Miami. Hill only recorded 40 yards on 4 receptions in Week 1, and it came with a 25-point loss. That's bound to leave a bad taste in anyone's mouth, especially someone who still believes he's one of the game's greatest receivers today. As they say, winning cures all, and we're also guessing the 31-year-old Hill would welcome a change of scenery. If the Steelers can prove they're legitimate contenders in the AFC, then why wouldn't he want to join Mike Tomlin's effort to get back to the Super Bowl? Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Malik Harrison has a knee injury that could force him to miss some time. Harrison suffered the injury on the Jets' final touchdown, a Justin Fields 1-yard scamper, of the game where he collided with a Jets offensive lineman in the pile. He served as the team's OLB with Nick Herbig out due to a hamstring strain. It is unknown just how long he will be out for, but Harrison wore a significant knee brace in the locker room that would not allow him to straighten his knee. An Ohio State product, Harrison was able to play in 15 games for the Ravens, notching 2 sacks and 54 tackles throughout the season alongside Roquan Smith. The Ravens went through multiple players after benching Trenton Simpson, including Harrison, who struggled. He had 174 tackles in his career, 7 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits, with career highs in every single category coming in 2024.